Woohoo! You're watching GRTV, my favorite. Wahoo!
The age of industry has come to Albion. Though some call it the age of oppression.
I'm standing here at Gamescom together with Peter Molyneux from Lionhead, and we're talking about Fable III, your new game.
Yes.
I take it Fable 3 is an action RPG. So what do you want the people to find in Fable 3?
I mean, firstly, what I want them to find is some uniqueness, some freshness, and some difference about a game, because that's very important to me. You know, I don't think Lionhead should ever do it just a sequel. So there's a lot of unique things about Fable 3. The story is unique. You start the game as a rebel, you take on this bad guy, the king, and then you become king yourself, and then you decide what kingdom your land is going to be. I think the combat system is unbelievably unique. We've got weapons that morph and change to reflect what sort of fighter you are. Not by some option you pick in some menu, but literally every swing of the sword will change the sword in a minuscule way.
So it depends on if you're a good person or a bad person, and this way the sword changes.
Not just good and bad, although if you start killing innocent people with your sword, it will start dripping with blood constantly. But also, the curvature of the blade is down to whether you hit the button fast or slow. The length of the sword is whether you block and build up and charge up for a big attack, or for whether you're someone who uses for very fast attacks. Think of this weapon actually being able to reflect what sort of gamer you are.
Okay, so the hardcore gamer would have a weapon that's
unbelievably cool.
Okay, and
because it's going to be longer, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be cooler looking, because they've really thought about their moves and their button presses. A casual gamer, I know that casual gamers will just smash the button mash. It's called button mashing. Their sword is going to be shorter. It's not going to be as cool, as impressive as my sword. And that's great. And what's even greater about that applies to swords, to hammers, to guns, to rifle, and to magic gauntlets. In other words, the combination of your attacks, the speed of your attacks, the style of your combat, the rhythm of your combat is reflected in your weapon. And the coolest thing of all, if you come in co-op into my world with your unique weapon, you can give me that unique weapon, and I can carry on using it and just continue to morph it in a different way.
okay, if I'd be coming in your world, I played the game yesterday, I'd probably be almost naked and wearing a hammer. That's what I did yesterday. And I had a little child on my hand. Could I bring that to your world too?
This is sounding slightly bizarre. You know, naked man plus child and big hammer. I don't know what's going on there, but that proves the point. It's your fable, it's your decisions. So you can't take an NPC from your world into my world, but you can take your dog and anything that you own into my world, and anything you earn in my world, you can take back into your world. You can also, in my world, if we want to do this, we can hug each other, we can chat each other up, 2 co-op players can get married, they can have sex, and they can have children. So in that sense, yes, in a way, you know, this child that you have in the end of your hand could be a product of yours and mine love. Sorry, this is getting very bizarre.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You don't know what to say now, do you?
No, but I mean, like, what happens to the child if we can divorce? Obviously,
Yes.
if we'd marry,
Yes.
what happens to the child then? I mean,
So,
money's.
Unfortunately, the rules of Albion are very simple. They're children. Children of divorced parents go into an orphanage. And currently, that orphanage is. Children in the orphanage have to work in a factory and probably end up dying very young. That's what England was like about 200 years ago.
I mean, like, this obviously makes sense in a way, but if I think about Fable, I mean, you must be absolutely obsessed by relationships. Is that so? Because the whole game...
Well, you know, well, there's... you see, you fall into a little trap here, because I love... The thing I hate in games are NPCs that stand there and do nothing. No matter what I do in front of them, I could, you know, garrote myself, and they just stand there. That's where this idea was born from. NPCs should be driven by simulation. And then it came about that we could marry them and you could hold their hand and all that stuff. But here's the interesting thing is, maybe you're someone that just doesn't care about this stuff at all. Maybe you're the sort of gamer that just really wants just combat. Combat, combat, combat. You want combat to be cool. We've got this amazing level up system where you essentially, it's very hard for me to describe this, but you essentially, as you get more powerful in the game, you choose the game features that are important to you and that are switched on. So if you don't want marriage, don't turn on that game feature. If you don't want to hold people's hands, don't turn on that game feature. If you want to specialize in combat, just specialize in combat. So I think more and more it's your Fable. You make the decisions. What your hero looks like, what your hero wears, what your weapon looks like, what your hero's, how tall your hero is, what your world is like, what the game features are like. That is all your decisions and the decisions you make by playing the game.
One last question. I talked to Mike Green yesterday from Lionhead and played with him, and he said that most people have hardly seen the biggest majority of Fable 2, so probably 60% of the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't make that you sad? Aren't you sad about things like that?
But, you know, they're not sad. Sad is not the wrong word. I'm unbelievably ashamed. You know, that's the equivalent of me, if I was an author, writing a book where 60% of the people didn't get to the end of the book. What's it say about the book? It says it's a bad book. And when you craft an experience and you had 300 costumes and 300 swords and this massive world, and only a fraction of the people explored that massive world, used all the costumes, used all the weapons, that's just wrong. It's just bad design. And I think you have to look at yourself and say, look, we're doing things for just the sake of doing it. Like in Fable 3, we could have given you another 100 weapons. We could have given you another, 100 costumes. But instead, we looked at it and said, well, how can we get people to experience different weapons? I know, we'll get them to craft the weapons by using the weapon. That's smart design, I think.
Thank you.
True rebels never give up. Yet they cannot triumph alone. The uprising has begun. But who will lead the revolution?